Welcome back to Mixed Views with Humna and Tyler, your favorite mixed couple.
Yeah.
Today on the podcast, on our second episode, we're going to talk about one of 2018's most important films. I'm not going to name it yet. I'll keep you waiting. We're also going to talk about Serena Williams and her 2018 U.S. Open match against Naomi Osaka that ended in a controversial way.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I think I'm going to bring this up first. We're going to talk about something that happened to me last night that you could never imagine, but you always hear about with delivery drivers. Maybe not always, but
Often enough.
often enough. All right, this is Mixed Views. Thanks for coming back again to our podcast, Mixed Views. This is our second episode. And if you haven't already, go to our website, our new website, 2.network.com. We have posted both of our episodes. We do have 2 episodes out already, but the other one...
It's supposed to be a mini episode.
It was supposed to be a mini episode. We had Zach on from the former alleged network.
We just got carried away.
We just got really carried away, and we blame Zach for it because that's what he always brought us down different paths, even if we had other things to talk about on the old podcast. So nothing has changed. He's very distracting. Very distracting. He's not here today. It's just Humna and I. We haven't had really any time to look into any guests. We're still trying to get our routine down.
Yeah, it's still a work in progress. We'll get there.
Yeah, so we got 3 pretty good stories for you today. 3 pretty good things to talk about for you today. But again, like I said, go to our website, 2.network.com. Humna's posted articles on there about articles that I've written on Blasting News. So you can go check those out, as well as our 2 podcasts that we have up right now. And, of course, Humna's photos as well. And we'll have more content coming out for you in the future. But...
to talk about today's story. It's kind of crazy. It's really crazy.
This is something that delivery drivers often get asked, like, what's the craziest person you've ever delivered to? Like, who are they? Has anybody ever opened up the door and ass naked or with a towel or just like insinuated that they're creepy? As of thus far,
yesterday was the first craziest.
Definitely the first craziest, and it couldn't come in any better of a place than like the real downtown Chicago.
To give a little background though, we do Uber Eats and DoorDash now, but
Humna does DoorDash. I do Uber Eats. Mostly Uber Eats because we just started DoorDash.
Right.
And she's still trying to figure that out. But I do Uber Eats, and Humna comes with me oftentimes because she works during the day. I've been working during the day a lot. So a lot of our nights are open, and we make the most money at night.
It's a pain in the ass to have to turn the car off every time you get an order. So I just really sit there and make sure he's okay if we're going in areas we've never been before.
Right. And usually we try to go to the nice neighborhoods like northwest of Chicago and northwest of us. But sometimes even yesterday I went that way. I started where I normally started to go that way, but it took us the entire opposite way towards the city. So we eventually made it down there in like near the what you know as the Willis Tower now, but will always be known as the Sears Tower.
I'm offended you even said Willis Tower.
Well, just in case people from not Chicago
I'm
don't know.
Sure everybody knows it.
That's
better
not
off
true.
As the Sears Tower.
How old is your sister? Your oldest sister?
She's 14.
Okay.
Even the twins know it as the Sears Tower. I'd say the only one that doesn't is Chipmunk, and that's only because he's just started talking.
Okay, but I'm telling you, kids that go to school with your sister probably call it the Willis Tower.
They're not real Chicagoans.
No, they're just kids.
Okay.
They're kids.
Moving on.
Anyways, we were in that area, and
It was my first time going into Chinatown.
my first time going through Chinatown. That was an experience.
Even though I would rather been there to eat.
Yeah, we only drove through it, but it was still like, and it like stopping at the stoplights and like
Mhm.
watching the like around you. You just felt like you weren't like. It felt like we were in China or in Europe, not Europe. What am I talking about? Asia.
I'm just gonna say for the record that wasn't meant to be offensive.
No, it wasn't. I'm just saying, like, it was a different, like, it was a different experience for me.
People get offended for everything, so.
It was a different cultural experience for me. Like, I had never seen something like that.
Neither have I.
Anyways, I don't even, let's see, where, there's this chicken joint that's really popular around, like, the Chicago area. It's called Harold's Chicken and Fish, I think. There's a lot of like chicken and fish combo places that
Black people like
around
our chicken
here.
and fish.
And I don't understand that because that to me I don't understand that combination. But I had 2 orders to drop off. Sometimes Uber gives you 2 orders if there's not enough drivers and a lot of orders. Sometimes Uber will throw you 2 orders, so you take one to one place, and then after that you take it to another place. And so this was my first order to take from there, and it was a really small order. And I pull up to the building, and the building is like storefront. Like there's like in the movies when the people are walking through the city and they're looking at the storefront and like there's a bunch of TVs playing and it's all the same channel, and it like the TV channel that's on is supposed to like convey a message to that person or something. It looked like that, but it was really dark. There was nothing in the storefront, and it looked like it was being renovated, because there were like supplies and stuff on the ground. But this was nighttime, so I couldn't really see inside. But the message I got from the person I was delivering to was, the front door is open. It's the first door on the right up the stairs. So I said, okay. So I pushed open the front door, the dark storefront, and I was like, okay, it would be kind of creepy, but the directions say the front door is open, so I'm assuming this is the front door.
Right.
So I walk in, I look around, and there's one door in the entire place, and it's in the back of the place, and it's cracked open. So I'm like, okay, that must be the stairs, or the door to the stairs. So I walk to it, and I kind of look into the crack, and the light is on within the door. And I see what looks like part of a stove, and then a cabinet. But I don't know. I didn't really think. So I started to open the door slowly.
Like a creep.
Because, I mean, I was just trying to be careful because that wasn't what I saw next was not what I was expecting to see next. So I opened the door slowly just to make sure I'm about to go in the right door. And I'm telling you, even thinking about it right now, you don't think this is real. Like, I did not think I was seeing what I was seeing.
I was like, what? When he told me, I was like, what are you talking about?
I saw a person.
People.
Well, no, it started with one. I started to see, like, one side of a person, and then as I opened, I started to see more of them. To break it, there was a white woman on her knees.
You really had to specify.
And then there was a black man standing in front of her on his feet. She was butt-ass naked. He was butt-ass naked. I saw the back of him. I saw the front of her. The first thought that went through my head, am I interrupting something right now? Like, I know I'm interrupting something, but, like, am I interrupting him? Because, you know, woman on her knees.
What?
She wasn't doing anything. She was waiting.
Okay.
She was waiting. And then my second thought was, is there anything, like, did I just walk in as it's happening? No, there was nothing on her face yet. Oh
my God.
And then she noticed me. The part I started to slowly back up. The thought The thoughts went through my head, and then I realized I should probably slowly back up and try to get out of here. So I started to slowly back up, and I took like 2 steps backwards, and then she saw me. And her reaction wasn't, oh my God, what the F? What are you doing? Her reaction was, she didn't cover up right away either. She was just like, oh my God, hi. And she was like, and she just didn't know what to say. So I said, is this, and then I said the address, and she was like, yes, are you looking for a resident? And I was like, yeah. She said go up the stairs, and I thought these were the door. I thought this was the door to the stairs. And she was like, oh no, you have to go out. And at this point she was like kind of covering up, but then she kind of gave up on that. And she was like, you have to go back out, and it's the door next door that leads to the stairs. And the guy just kind of like, he turned his shoulder and looked at me, but he didn't say anything the entire time. Like, he just looked at me, and I never saw the front of him.
You know, I was thinking when you told me yesterday, what if that was just like a Tinder date?
Could have been.
Like, what if he wasn't even really familiar with her? That's why he didn't freak out. Like, what if he thought, like, oh, this is just something that happens all the time or something?
Could have been. And where they were might have not even been their place, because I didn't really see. I just saw the stove and some cabinets. I didn't really see the rest of the place. So it might have just been, like, they realized this place was open, and then maybe that's why they also had the door cracked, because it wasn't really their place. I don't know. But I just kind of was like, I'm so sorry about this, because I said sorry initially when she saw me, but I'm like, again, I'm so sorry. I said, thank you for your help, and she said, you're welcome, and that was kind of it. And the guy, like, I turned around as I was walking out, and he just kind of, he didn't close the door, he just, like, kind of shut it to the where it was kind of cracked a little still. Like, maybe
he wanted someone else to walk in.
Maybe that's what they. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, why wouldn't you shut the door? Maybe that was supposed to happen. Like, maybe they knew that the storefront was open, and of course, like, why wouldn't you shut the door behind you unless the doorknob doesn't work and you just can't shut it? But I didn't test that theory out.
Okay, so when you told me this, I thought, my first thought was you walked into an orgy. That was literally the first thing I said to him. I was like, you walked into an orgy, didn't you? And then
because I came up to the car window. I didn't even get in the car. I just leaned over into the passenger side window, and I said, you will not believe what I just walked into.
But as I thought about it later, I was like, first off, I was like, what if it was just a Tinder and blah, blah, blah. They weren't really familiar with each other. Or what if they were expecting people? That's why they left the door open. Because, you know, you've got to get all the foreplay in and all that. So what if they was just getting in all that? And then they were like, oh, yeah, we're supposed to have company come over, so I'll just leave the door open a little bit so they can just walk in and, you know, we can all get into it. I thought about that, too. So you could have walked into an almost orgy.
I mean, I could have been, but I'm telling you, babe, when I walked in, it looked like the finale. It looked like he was ready to go. He was ready to pop. And then I walked in, and I probably scared it away.
Probably took him another half hour to get there.
Probably did. And he's probably like, turn around so I can see. In the city, you know, what stereotypes and connotations surround the city? And then in addition to walking in on a couple in their intimacy, a stranger walking in, no less. Maybe they didn't even know how long I could have been standing there. I could have been standing there for like 30 seconds.
You could have been a creep and been standing there for like 5 minutes before she realized.
Yeah. And I think the thing that might have saved me was the order in my bag. I had like I wasn't making an excuse. Like, I literally thought that this was where I needed to deliver. I didn't know that there was one possible apartment in this storefront, and then the rest of them were on a door next door to the building up the stairs. Like, who does that? Why wouldn't the stairs be connected to the storefront or like inside? Like, you got to go outside and up the stairs. I
also thought, what would have been like if I was there with you? Like, let's say the both of us were, because see, me, normally I just open the door without really looking. So what if I had opened the door all the way and then we were like, oh, shit.
I don't know. I just, like, it was all, like, I had more thoughts going through my head than how fast I was actually opening that door, because it was one thought after another. I grabbed the door handle, I opened, I'm like, oh, there's a stove in a cabinet. And I opened more, I'm like, oh, that's a person. And then I opened more, I'm like, oh, that's a naked person. And then I opened more, and I was like, there's another naked person. And I'm like, it's happening right now. Like, I'm walking in on the craziest thing I've ever seen, and I cannot believe this is real.
See, I was sitting in the car, and I was just getting worried. I was like, okay, so he walked out of one door, and he's going down this one because he thinks it's this one. And then it was like 5 minutes later, and I'm like, how long does it take to just walk up some stairs and hand somebody their damn food? Like, do I need to get out the car and come investigate? And I had texted you, and as soon as I texted you, I saw you walk out, and your face, honestly, you looked a little flushed.
Well, my heart was pounding so fast because I couldn't believe what had just happened. You hear about it, but you don't expect it to happen to you. Well, it's one thing for some creep to open up the door ass naked. It's another thing to
walk in.
To open a door and walk in on a couple
ass naked.
Ass naked.
In a position that you know damn well what's going on. What if she did have some on her face? I feel like that would have made it.
Well, I told you, I looked. Like, no.
I'm
and
saying,
it
like,
wasn't.
What if it was? I feel
it
like
wasn't.
That would have just made it a lot more awkward.
It wasn't out of a creepy way. It was like, at what point am I walking into this? Like, am I watching it unfold? Is he getting ready to, or is this afterwards? I don't know. That just, at the time, it seemed important to know.
That was funny.
But I think maybe your theory makes the most sense. Maybe it was just a random Tinder date or like a random couple hookup, because they definitely reacted very nonchalant about me walking in, and they were very helpful and nice. Well, I shouldn't say they, more like she was very helpful and nice, and he was very non-reactive to the whole thing. But I think that might be the best theory for it.
Either they were Tinder dates or they was expecting somebody else. The more I thought about it, I'm like, okay, maybe they left the door open because they were expecting someone.
Or
other than you.
Or they wanted that to happen.
Or yeah.
Maybe they get off on people walking in on them.
I don't know. That was crazy.
Anyways, that was our night last night. How was yours?
You do realize they can't answer us.
I do. But I asked anyways, because somebody's going to go through their night and be like, did I walk in on anybody? What if I walked in on somebody?
I'm actually really happy that hasn't
I
happened
probably
to me.
just got Uber and DoorDash more business because people are going to be like, I want that to happen to me.
I mean,
I should probably shout out. No, I don't know if I can shout out my code.
No. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to do it.
No, don't even. I was going to say something about DoorDash. What? Oh, I mean, I'm happy the creepiest I've gotten so far is being catcalled in a car and not that.
Yeah, times have not changed for that.
Yeah, no. So it was literally my first day doing DoorDash earlier this week. And I was still trying to figure out how it works, and because it's definitely different from Uber. Uber has its pros and cons, but it's definitely different, and I'm not used to doing any of this by myself because, we're normally together. But where was I driving? I was driving from the mall to Portillo's because it looked like that was a hot spot or something. And as I'm driving, I had the windows down because it was early in the morning, so it wasn't really hot yet. And I hear somebody honk their horn. So I'm automatically looking around like I know nobody honking their horn at me because I'm going the speed limit. The lights is green, so they ain't got to do nothing with me before I curse somebody out. And I look to my right, and there's this car speeding up next to me. And then there's this guy. He's yelling. He's like, "Hey, beautiful, where you going?" And it took me a second to register because I looked back at him again, and he was like I feel like he was in the process of saying something else again, but I had already started to roll up the window, and I was just like, hell to the no. So I started to speed past him, and then I cut in front of him, and then he was behind me for a little bit, and then I was like, oh my God, what if he's going to follow me? So I started to turn, and I made like this huge circle, zigzag, whatever. And I was like, that just happened. That really just happened. And then later that same day, I think I was delivering my first order. So for a while I didn't get anything, and then I was delivering my first order. And I walk into Advanced Auto Parts, I believe. So I walked in and I'm like, hi, I'm looking for so-and-so. Is he or she there? And the guy at the register, he was like, no, there's nobody by that name. What's the address? So I gave him the address, and he's like, oh, I think you want a little bit down the street. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks. And so I said thank you already. So I'm walking out of the store, and then he's following behind me, and I'm not thinking much of it. I'm like, okay. He's probably here to help somebody. That's his job. And as I'm getting in the car, he's like, by the way, girl, you looking gorgeous. Can I get your number? And I was like, my fiance thinks I'm gorgeous too, but I don't think he'd appreciate me handing out my phone number. And I got in the car, and then I was like backing out. His face was just like, what the fuck? And then he walked in the store, and I was like, yeah, I don't want your crusty ass.
I honestly, like, it surprises me when you tell me that guys do that. Not for the simple fact that you're not beautiful, but, like, I didn't know that was a thing still. Like, to just randomly do that. And I guess you gotta start somewhere, but I think that's kind of a... Catcalling, I think, is kind of a bad way to do that anymore.
I've gotten catcalled before. I was actually telling Ocean. She's a friend of ours. Her name isn't Ocean. I just call her that. I was telling her when I told her the story that I've done that before, like, plenty of times. Like, even throughout high school, like, I can name a number of occasions I was out with friends and guys try to catcall us, and I'm like, if you don't back the fuck up, I'm about to beat your ass up. This is my girl. You can't be talking to her like that. So I've done that plenty of times. It's been a while. And I think the first one just surprised me because we're both in a car moving through traffic.
Well, yeah, that is like, oh, you want me to pull over so I, like, hook up? Like, no.
Like, what?
Go,
leave. And then I was telling Ocean, the first guy, he looked about Aleen's age. So early 40s. And the second guy, he was like our age. And I'm just like, why are you trying to holler at somebody who's like 10 years younger than you? Like, ew. Leave me alone. Although it didn't really scare me. I think my automatic reaction is just to curse them out and get pissed. Because honestly, it does piss me off. It's like, why can't you approach me in a respectable manner?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah, I know. It's just, I don't know. I wasn't scared. I was just more irritated. It's like, dude, do you see me? You see my standards? How I look, how I dress, how I talk? You think you have my standards? And I know that's probably just me being full of myself. But I don't know. And then that guy that tried to talk to me when I was at the Advanced Auto store, like, you see my hand. You see the ring. What else do you think that means?
They don't pay attention like that, babe.
Obviously not. I mean, I find it flattering, but at the same time, it's not really the kind of flattering that I want.
I just don't think it's... I mean, I'm a guy, so I don't really see it the way you see it, but just as a guy's perspective, I don't think that would be flattering at all.
No, it's more so just a flattering that, oh yeah, I still look good even if I'm with somebody, because I've talked to you about this before, like certain days I can just feel so down and I don't want to make myself look nice.
Yeah, but that's when you compliment someone. You don't holler at them and make it be known what your intentions are.
I mean, maybe there are those women out there that like it. I'm just going to say for the record, I'm not.
Just be like, hey,
if
that dress looks really nice on you.
You can compliment me, but as far as trying to talk to me through a goddamn car window, No, that's not
But
happening.
I don't know. Even complimenting these days is borderline harassment. So
It only see, and I think we've talked about this a while back about the whole Me Too thing. And I feel bad for guys nowadays because it's already tricky, especially, okay, let's take in perspective you. You're a very quiet kind of guy. And I feel like well, obviously I know this, but once you really approached me, it was like, oh, he's really cool. So whenever you were talking to me, I never took it offensive. But it's just so much negative around that I feel like it's hard for guys to try to be that nice guy without, women thinking, oh yeah, he just wants me for sex, so I'm just going to completely ignore him or something like that.
I think guys just have to do a better job at building a relationship, not even like an intimate relationship, just a friendship with females before they start to enter that line of complimenting, because with the Me Too movement and all, it's starting to raise questions in people, and it shouldn't be, because compliments are compliments, but it's starting to raise questions in people whenever they receive a compliment or give a compliment, whether it's a female or a male or vice versa, whether it's a compliment or not, or whether they should see it as harassment or what the intentions were. And then they overthink, and then they start to make judgment about, oh, well, I could see it could have been harassment in this way, or maybe it was just a compliment. And then it confuses so much that they don't know how to take compliments. And you always hear, learn how to take a compliment. Well, people are not going to know how to learn how to take a compliment if they start thinking that way. So just start. The best way to fix this is for both sides, being male and female, just build better relationships with each other.
I wanted to ask.
And that's not the only way to fix it. That's just a good start.
Do you think we would have started out differently if let's say we started now after the Me Too movement?
No, because the way we started out is I built a relationship with you. Even if it was just at work, I built some sort of relationship with you before.
I know, but okay, let's talk about, when we first started talking, you always came to see me at work and blah, 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 blah. What if after all this Me Too thing, instead of me thinking, oh my God, he likes me, I was thinking, oh my God, he's a stalker?
Well, you shouldn't think that, because you requested that I come see you.
I know, but I'm saying, let's say I didn't.
Well, if you didn't and I just showed up if I was you, I would hope you'd find that creepy. Like if some guy that started working with us around the same time we worked together started to just come randomly see you more times than he should probably visit that store without you asking him, you should probably find that a little creepy. That he would be...
I probably most definitely would. I'm just saying...
Like, thank you for taking a liking in me, but this is a little too much.
I know, but I'm just trying to say, in, perspective of us, now that we're together, I'm very affectionate, and I'll smack your ass often, and I always feel like that's always funny when I do that in public, because I can see people out of the corner of my eye looking at us, and it's like, do they think I'm sexually harassing you in any sort of way?
I mean, our relationship is very, sometimes sarcastic, very, back and forth, and, we give each other, smack or, shit talk a lot. But we do it out of good fun because we know each other's personalities. We don't do it to offend each other.
I know, but I'm saying, what if someone on the outside... Because, you can always report a crime and not be connected to it at all.
Yeah.
So what if that ever happened to us? I don't know how I'd explain.
Well, that would end up as one of those, when a kid accidentally goes into somebody else's lawn when they're cutting the grass, and then they get the cops called on them. That'd be one of those situations. Really? You took a police officer off the road or wherever he was to come report.
No, I'm talking about, okay, let's say when me and you go back and forth and call each other all those names. First of all, for the record, they're never extreme. Like, I'm not calling him terrible, terrible names. It's all jokes. So I don't need anyone commenting, oh my God, she's abusive. None of that is happening. I think both of us are more than willing to leave a relationship if it doesn't work. It's just how we goof off with each other. And we sometimes do that in public, you know, even without Zach and them with us, where we'll just start cursing each other out or blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I'll play hit you, so it's light hitting and all that. But, you know, what if an older lady saw that and she's like, oh my God, they're saying such mean things to each other. This looks like domestic violence, da-da-da-da-da.
And it's hard for me to say maybe she should ask, because sometimes a couple would respond, well, it's none of your business, or she might think, well, it's none of my business, but I could try to do something about it. But you need to have your information in check, or else you're going to get ridiculed for it. Maybe she should ask. Like, if somebody really wanted, I wouldn't be offended. I'd be a little irritated that somebody would ask. But I could see why they would ask. You know, they're just concerned. Maybe. I don't know what people's intentions are.
Yeah. I was just asking because, I mean, I don't know. I've always made this comment to Mom, like, as, you know, being that I am multiracial, growing up and Mom dating other men outside of her race and all that, it's always been fun. I definitely enjoy the benefits of being multiracial and different perspectives and all of that. But at the same time, you know, there are days when we walk into a restaurant as a family. So it's me, Mom, Aline, and all the kids and all that. And it's like, it's predominantly white or a predominantly black restaurant. And it's like everybody's watching you. And it's like, why? Why do you feel the need to watch me? And like, even sometimes when me and you go out to dinner, or especially like those days when we dress up really good to go out and have a good time, I'll see people out of the corner of my eye, you know, like just staring at us. And I don't know if it's a stare of like, oh my God, they're so cute, or a stare of, oh my God, they're together. Because I mean, come on, even a coworker of yours and an ex-coworker of mine has that old school mentality and made a comment about it.
I was going to say, but yeah, she's much older than us, and, you know, we talked about it, I think, earlier this week. You just can't break old thoughts out of people, even when times change.
Yeah,
You just can't do that to some people.
I know with her, you know, it'd definitely be harder, but I'm talking about, you know, people like Mom and Aline's age. That's early 40s. They're not even that old. And to be having that kind of mentality is just really sad. And honestly, sometimes it just annoys me to the point where it's like, I will stare you down if all you're going to do is sit here and watch me enjoy my meal.
To me, it's mostly those people who, they don't have a problem with it. They might just not prefer it themselves, or they've never been in that situation where, like, I'm white, well, majority white, you're half black, half Pakistani. So I think white people tend to go for white people and black people tend to go for black people. And I'm not saying that closed-minded. I'm saying that just because that
comfort.
Well, I think it's comfort. I think it's comfortable for them to interact with somebody who shares their background, and I think it's becoming more common for people to have interracial relationships.
Walked on a couple.
Well, yeah. But I think it's just comfort, and then when people see it, they start to imagine themselves in that situation. Like, how would it be for me? Like, would that be comfortable for me?
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to think, like, my family is way different from your family.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I interact with your family is pretty, like, introverted. Like, I'm still pretty quiet around them because your family is a lot louder than me and my family. So it's also something that has to do with me and bringing myself into your life and your family. Because they're probably going to look at me and be like, why are you so quiet? Blah, blah, blah. Well, that's just how I am.
Every time. Like, even the first time she met you, like, I remember that day you brought her cupcakes and you were sitting on the couch and mom was trying to talk to you and I was leaning over you and everyone was like, when you left, they were like, why is he so quiet? And I'm like, he's just a quiet person. Even I think it's just you're being quiet, because my aunt, her husband, when he first came around, he was very quiet. And even now, he doesn't really talk much unless you really ask him directly. It's just, like when I see stuff like that, I'm always hoping for the best. I'm hoping, people are like, oh yeah, look at them, they're so cute, they look so happy, they seem like they're in a healthy relationship, instead of he's with her.
Right. I think interracial couples
are the best. We make the best babies.
Yeah. Well, you and I'm Mexican and Irish, and I just said you were half black and half Pakistani, so
our kids will be real mixed.
Yeah. I just wonder what's going to be stronger in there.
Definitely going to probably say the black side. Only because you look at me, Amina, and Rafia. Okay, we've got strong connections with mom, like feature-wise. And you even look at the twins. Jalila might have that light white complexion like Aline, but her hair is nappy. She's definitely got the attitude like mom. Mm-hmm. So I definitely think the black side will be a little more stronger.
I don't know if I can connect attitude with genes. I think it has something to do with that. I don't think you can, but really I think it's also an environmental thing that she picks up on as well.
Well,
because your mom is very
attitude-y.
And that's not a bad thing.
No, sometimes. I'd say 60-40, it's a bad thing.
But it's something that is definitely noticeable.
Yeah, black women are I'm pretty sure are mostly known for their attitudes.
And that's something a kid can, because kids learn by watching, so that's something a kid can definitely pick up on.
Okay, we talk about Serene. He's got the lighter complexion like me. His hair is curly like ours, but it's thin like Aline's. And his his facial features look a little more African American. And as far as Chipmunk, I don't know. I think he's still too young to tell.
I think he takes after your mom more.
It also has to do with the fact that all of us spent more time with mom than with our fathers. Because, like Elaine's gone most of the day. And, now the kids are back at school, but still mom deals with the kids a lot more than Elaine does.
Yeah.
And, they say the more you spend time with someone, the more they look like you. Which I don't know if I fully think is true. I think it's more so the more characteristics you take on from them. Because, me and you will argue, or we'll just be talking about something, and it's like, and it's like we have the same thought. It's just we're saying it differently.
Well, yeah, because sometimes me and you miscommunicate because you say something differently than I think.
Right.
Like, we're thinking the same way, but you just say it in a way that I'm not thinking, and it confuses both of us when we try to get on the same page. And you and I, when it comes to communicating, sometimes get impatient fast.
I think that's definitely more so my fault, because I've never been a patient person, and you're so reserved, where I feel like I'm forced to just calm down a second and deal with it. Because I'm so used to telling you the first time, telling you the second time, getting irritated, yelling at you by the third time. That's what I'm so used to. And with you, I try to be a little more calm. And, I always say I try to work on my dominance, because it's just, I like that I'm like that, but at the same time, I don't want to be overbearing.
The way I am is the way I am because not only do I understand communication a little bit better, but I try to keep things at a passive level.
You're very passive.
Because trying to rise above that isn't going to help the situation. The faster I understand it and the more calm I am,
which is
not
true.
only most of the time rubs off in the person or the people in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So they stay calm or they stay a little more passive. But it also leads to a faster solution or communication, same page communication.
I mean, I definitely think that's rubbed off on you. Like, in the beginning, when we first got together, if we were argued about, you know, like, us moving, like, right off the bat, I think it would have definitely been different. Whereas now, when we argue, it's like, okay, I'm going to repeat what I said. I'm going to repeat it again and explain it. And I'm going to break it down to the most basics of basics I can to then get you to understand.
You make me sound dumb.
It's not about being dumb. It's just like you said. You know, we talked about us moving. So we are moving to Arizona. That's a done deal. But, you know, your friend Tom wants to move with us. And so right there, you said roommate. My instant thought is split the rent 50-50. Your thought was split it by a person. And it took me a while to explain to you why we should split it 50-50 because we were going to end up taking all the utilities.
And it took me a second to understand that because when you normally do it, when you normally get like 3 people together in an apartment, and I get we're a couple, and I get where you see us as one, but I explained to you the disadvantage.
I mean, I understood eventually, but
that I saw on Tom's side, but I didn't also catch the part where you said, well, we would take on the utilities and Tom would only have to pay the rent.
Right.
That makes sense to me now.
I mean, definitely.
And now it's not a disadvantage to Tom.
If we were just friends, like if all of us were friends, then yes, I'd say we'll split the rent 3 ways. But I consider us one because we are a couple. You know, even if, let's say, Tom found a girlfriend and she came to live with us, I'd still consider the 2 of them one.
Which at that point would make sense.
Right.
Although whether you consider them one and us one, if let's say he brought in another one, like another half of him, basically, because we'd consider them one, and then us be one, it'd be no different if we were all 4.
Right. But I guess it was just a little difficult to explain because it was 3 people, so it's an odd number.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're at 45 minutes already, you know.
No, I didn't. But, you know, I actually like that. I like that.
I like it.
It does. I think once we really get into how we want to break it up, it'll be different. But I think also just for my benefit, for getting comfortable being a prominent voice again, I like that 1 or 2 topics just take off and then...
It's nice. I just wish they were the topics that I introed with.
It was. We started off with your little sex.
Yeah, I introed 3 topics, and we talked about one for like the first 20 minutes, and then we branched off of that for the next 25.
Well, that's only because that one topic itself has a lot of things that could be brought up.
That's true. But we ain't even close to that topic anymore.
No, we did veer off a lot. I guess we did a Zach.
Yeah, we did.
We pulled a Zach, guys.
This is why, like, when I'm watching, like, TV, like a talk show or something, or radio, and then I hear them, like, have to dial back, because I can hear they want to talk more about the topic they're talking about, but they have to stop themselves physically and vocally, otherwise they'll do what we just did, and obviously they're on more time constraints than we are. We could keep going for hours.
Well, yeah, and we're also still getting the hang of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's been a while since we even got back into recording a podcast weekly, let alone a brand new one just for us.
Yeah. So are we going to continue?
No, I think that story's over with.
No, I mean continue with the rest of them.
Oh, yeah.
I think I only want to talk about the BlacKkKlansman.
Let's talk about it. Hey, see, then 2 things go together as one, because technically, at the end of the day, they still relate.
Well, yeah.
So, see, we still did good.
We're still trying to transition, but we don't have transition. So now we're going to talk about the BlacKkKlansman.
I loved it. I definitely loved the movie. We saw it Tuesday, you know.
Yeah, we saw it last Tuesday.
$5 movie.
It was a Spike Lee movie, and if you don't know who Spike Lee is...
Which I don't. I just care about
I don't know that
movies.
much about him either. I just know that he makes these movies that are supposed to really hit at the cultural aspect, especially on the African American point of view.
Well, he did a good job then.
Because he's also the producer of a movie that has a strong connection with Chicago called Chirac.
I never saw that movie.
I didn't see it
actually
either.
irritated me.
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
I didn't either.
But the BlacKkKlansman is about, and it's based on a true story, I think. I'm pretty sure.
No, he said it's a true story.
Yeah, it's based on a true story, and
this
it's
is an
also
actual person.
It's also a book, and it's got.
Okay, it's basically a story about a African American who is the first African American police in his area.
Yes. In like the 70s, the
Yeah.
mid-70s.
Yeah, because it was all the froze and yeah.
The froze and the hose.
No. And he basically infiltrates the KKK, Ku Klux Klan, if you didn't know that.
Or as they call it in the movie, the organization.
The organization. And he basically has one of his cop friends or co-workers or whatever you call them.
Played by that actor who plays in Star Wars. Let me find his name.
Okay. Anyways, and he goes undercover as the black cop to actually meet the people because he's white, and obviously if he showed up, you know what would happen. And it's just a story about how he got
Adam
all this
Driver, by the way, is the name of that guy.
information out of them. But it's
So it's kind of like the Ron Stallworth is the main character's name, and he comes in
that's
as
the
a
black guy.
yes, as a police officer, and he's kind of not feeling it as a regular police officer because he's still being very
Definitely.
racially attacked
By that one cop.
by his fellow cop friends, not so much friends.
I don't know how to call it either.
And
His
so
coworkers.
he like early in the job, he wants to go undercover. And so
But there's protocols, so it's like you're a rookie.
they don't let him at first, and then all of a sudden they let him, and then he just kind of follows
goes off
this.
his own.
Yeah, because he followed this ad in the newspaper, and then he brought it up to his chief, and they were like, you know what, this might be important, so we're gonna give a preliminary run on it, and if you find something,
Then
we'll
go.
keep moving along. And it just got more and more, and so yeah, he
was able to meet Duke.
well. So I don't know. Would this be spoiling the movie if we kind of like?
I guess so, but the movie's already been out for a while.
Yeah. So spoiler alert, possibly.
Most likely.
Most likely. The black character would talk.
What was his name? Ron Stallworth?
Yeah.
Ron Stallworth, who's actually a real person, met Duke. What was his last name?
David Duke.
David Duke of the KKK. As a black man. The Duke didn't know it, but he eventually met Ron Stallworth.
Yeah, in the middle of their investigation, he was assigned to be the security detail of David Duke while he was in an event in their Colorado town. And he didn't know at the time, but
that was him.
Because the real Ron Stallworth would talk to the people within the organization and David Duke over the phone, and then when they had their in-person meetings, it would be another cop that would impersonate.
And the
and
only
go to
reason
these
why
meetings.
he got away with this because he spoke very proper.
Well, he spoke with a very white dialect.
Yeah.
And
Duke was like, "Oh yeah, I could totally tell the difference between a black person's voice and a white person's."
and it wasn't until the very end of the movie where David Duke found out who he was really talking to.
Yeah, because it was after they got the picture together too, and he touched him. So after all of that, Ron calls Duke up and he's like, "Yeah, just so you know, you've been talking to a black person this entire time."
So that definitely was a spoiler alert.
The movie's been out a while, so if you haven't seen it, I do recommend. Although I think the biggest part for that whole movie was towards the end because Spike Lee includes the Charlottesville
riots
And I didn't really see the video when it first happened. You know, I just heard about it on the news, and I was like, oh my God, who would do something like that to another person? But
at first, I didn't really know what to think of the movie, because as we were watching it, we I don't know, I saw some things that made me think a lot. I think that's the reason it took me a while to kind of like really realize that I did like this movie, because there was so much to think about.
It definitely is.
So much to think about, and because there's a lot of I think Spike Lee tried to use, and he admits it too. You told me that he said he wanted to use this movie to also show that this is what he sees
Now,
in part now in the present of how we act as a society.
If you break his movie up, I think he's showing, first off, racism is still there. You have certain groups of people who will still work with those that they do not like. And then you have those like that white cop who was just very obnoxious about it. He was very blunt to the fact that he did not like Ron Stallworth because he was a black person. You also have the part where black people are very adamant themselves about generalizing the entire white population, you know, because Ron Stallworth falls for this girl who's all for the Black Power movement, and you know, go ahead, do what you got to do to make yourself feel better and make sure your people are taken care of. But you know, Ron was just trying to say, why are you putting all these people as one? You know, because she called all the cops pigs.
Yeah, she referred to cops as pigs. So
and he's
when
like, there can never be a good cop. Like, why do they all have to be under one? There can't be a good black cop. There can't be a good white cop or Latino. You know, why do you all have to be under one category? So I think those are the two big things that he hit in the movie. And, you know, me and you obviously have different views, but I got that like right off the bat.
I asked you later on, I said, I wonder if that's what he thinks how it should be, like black people should empower themselves by rising up against white people or other races, or if he's trying to poke at the idea that black people are trying to be that way and he thinks it's wrong to be that way.
And I mean, I told you, I think it's a little bit of both. Because, you know, I definitely think that's why Ron Stallworth was obviously the main character, but he kept being very adamant about the fact that you cannot generalize all people under one category. So I think Spike Lee was hitting at the fact that, yes, what Ron is saying is right, but he also was trying to tell you, but there are also all these other black people who think it's always a white person's fault.
And then, I mean, that's the problem with racism today, and that's why racism exists, because, well, that's not right. The only reason why, but in part because we all blame each other for what happens in the world, because as people,
right,
we love to blame other people.
And I don't think I really told you this, but I feel like I definitely I don't want to say connect, okay, maybe connected, or like I really, really understood what Ron Stallworth was about, his ideas and all of that. And I think it's, you know, in part because he has that mentality that mom had when she raised us, because, you know, she got pregnant at 18 with me, and all of 17 had me at 18, and she got out of that bad area she was in. She never forgot who her home was. It's just she didn't want me to grow up thinking this is always someone else's fault. And so as his character progressed and you saw all the things that he was doing, and, you know, even how he was reacting to that drunk cop trying to hit on his girl right in front of him, it just made me realize how much I could connect, because it's like I have those same ideas. Yes, I want black people to stand up when injustice is being done. But at the same time, there are other things part of the problem.
All right.
And there are those African Americans out there who do not see that and just want to blame it on someone else. You know, there are those out there who want to go back to the simple fact that slavery existed. Yes, we know it existed, and we know how it's damaged families and people. But it's been a while now. So you can't even really blame that on anything anymore, because
and we're going backwards in that idea because people want to progress, but it's all talk.
It is.
Because they think they don't want to start the movement to progress, even though we have this whole progressive movement.
Mm-hmm.
They want other people to do it for them so they can just tag along themselves. But they can't do that if nobody starts it. And we do have change going on in this world. We have very life-changing change going on in this world.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you're always going to have people that don't understand or don't want to understand or don't want to change.
And
it's just going to keep cycling.
Even if it's just a few of them. Like even those grandmas out there who still don't like her son or daughter being with a race other than her own. Even those few people can start planting the seeds for those ideas in other people, and it's just a domino effect.
Well, it starts with respect. You just got to respect other people. If you respect other people, then we can be civil. We don't have to get along, but we can be civil.
What was I watching? Oh, remember that Freedom Writers, the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I love that movie. Remember when one of the characters was like, "Why should I respect you if I don't know you?" I think that's what the idea is. That's why there is no respect even as human beings amongst each other.
Yeah, but you don't have to respect. You only have to respect my existence. If you at least respect, we should give everybody the respect of existence.
I know, but I'm just saying that could be why people don't respect other people, and it leads to all these other issues.
Well, I know why. Well, not the full reason, but I know why people don't want to. I know reasons why people don't want to.
And I'm hoping Mom goes to see the movie soon because I want to see what she says.
I think my biggest takeaway was the shots at Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah, towards the end.
There were 3 specific. I can only remember 2, but I know I counted 3. Where there was one part where I think it was David Duke said the line somewhere within a speech that he was giving, "Make America Great Again." Pretty obvious what that was poking at. And then at the end of the movie, when the entire Klan was shouting "America First," again, pretty obvious what that was poking at. It's a little irritating.
He also showed Trump just giving a speech itself.
He did show. Well, that was a part of the Charlottesville speech that got him into a lot of trouble for saying there are good people on both sides.
But I think those were the only 3 parts.
Well, no, there was one before both of those that I remember thinking about.
Okay.
I don't remember what it was, but I'm sure it's there. But It was only a little irritating to me, not because I side with conservatism, just because...
You think he was purposely painting him in a bad light?
Yeah, he was... And yeah, I'm not going to defend him and say he hasn't done or said some stupid things. I don't know. It just didn't seem right.
I totally
to be like, oh yeah, he's definitely the same person as David Duke, or yeah, he might as well wear a white robe and shout "America First."
Right, and that's what I was gonna say. I see why you would think that, because it's like he did. At least I got the feeling where he almost makes it seem like Trump sides more so with the KKK when it comes to racial issues.
I thought it was sad when the real David Duke did endorse Trump before he was elected.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was when he was president already. I thought that was a sad moment in our time. Like, that David Duke shouldn't, he should have the right to his ideas and the right to existence, but what he stands for is just outlandishly wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And shouldn't exist in this world. But I'm
You
not going to get into the talk about right to free speech or right to express.
It's like I told you in the car. You want to be racist? By all means, go ahead. That is your thought. That is your freedom, blah, blah, blah. But as long as you aren't hurting me physically or mentally.
But isn't racism hurting you mentally? Or is that just if you let it hurt you?
I think nowadays it's more so if I let it get to me. Because somebody can call me the N-word when I'm delivering, because let's say I was late with the delivery and they curse me out and call me the N-word, and I could either respond and be like, curse back, or I can be like, you know what, I'm sorry, I hope you have a better experience the next day, and walk away. Because it's all about how I let what someone else say affects me. Because if I did, trust me, I wouldn't look the way I did, because Aline said some mean things, but it didn't get to me. And it shouldn't get to you. Yes, what these racist people, whoever you are saying, is very wrong and doesn't really make sense. Because when you hear them try to defend their ideas, it's like, that's not even common sense. But it's their right. I'm not going to knock you for it. I just don't want to hear it. I don't want to be near it. I know it's there, and I can see that you act like that, but you ain't got to come to me with it. Don't bring no harm to me. I won't harm you.
And I'm not going to sit here as a white man to try to say, oh, I know what racism feels like, or I can't have racism towards me because I'm white.
But first of all, black people can be racist to themselves.
Or it doesn't matter if there is racism towards white people. It doesn't affect us.
And, okay, it's true. You side more so with white people, but you're still multiracial.
Right.
You can still, if anything, multiracial people can be more offended because we're included in so much. You know, I remember growing up, and in the city, when you take the ISAT, they're like, you have to pick your ethnicity and all of that stuff. And they never had a box for other. It was either black, white, Mexican, Pacific Islander, Asian, whatever else.
Yeah.
But they never left a space for other. And it bothered me as a kid, because it's like, I don't know what I identify as. Do I act more black now? Yeah, but I didn't know that back then. I just thought I was a multiracial person and I should have a box for me.
I only put Caucasian because I identify with that side, because my real dad is the one that gave me my Mexican heritage, and I don't know him. Right. I don't know my real dad, so I had no reason to pursue.
It makes sense. But then I also remember asking someone, why it wasn't like that, and how am I supposed to respond? And even to this day I remember, and they were like, respond how you look. Okay, what does that mean? That doesn't help the situation. And it's just, I've never blamed anybody for my issues. And for those people that do, I think you need to stop and take a seat and look at what the real issue is, and whether you're helping the issue or you're just making it worse. Because blaming doesn't solve it. You want to be all for the black power and, call out these white Caucasian cops that are killing, most of the time recklessly, these young people. Well, why don't you also start where you have all these gangs killing each other? Why don't you stop generalizing all cops? Yes, there are those few bad cops, but there are appropriate ways to deal with them. If you think a cop is acting in a certain way, you take it to the right people, and then you keep taking it to other people if no one's getting it done. You don't sit here and you generalize all of one person because all of these people because of one person. That's basically going back to Nazi Germany. He generalized all Jews for no reason under this whole umbrella of they cause issues, blah, blah, blah. He was putting the blame off on someone else, and it killed millions of people when it didn't need to happen. And if we don't stop, it's just going to get worse. And there will be no trust amongst anybody. And if you walk down the street and you look at somebody the wrong way, you may or may not get hurt because of it.
I already think there's a lot of mistrust amongst
it definitely is
the world.
But no one is giving a logical response or a solution to it.
Or just not enough people are willing
or
to
that more
latch
people
on.
are ready, they'd rather, just walk away than be like, oh my God, that person is getting, someone is stealing from that person, instead of helping if you can. And I'm not saying go in there and jump and throw yourself into danger every time. I'm just saying have some human decency. And like I was trying to say earlier, the one of the big things that hit me was when Spike Lee showed that footage of the Charlottesville. And like I said, I've never fully seen like the entire video and all that. I only saw like glimpse, and even then I was like, why would you do that? They were protesting. You don't like what they have to say, you go about it in a peaceful way. And then when he showed the video above the buildings and you actually see him hit these people again, like, my mind was, why would you do that? What good does that do you for whatever cause you have to run all those people over? It was really sickening. And I got shivers from it. And then you see those people, one of the guys was commenting, he was like, we were just out here trying to protest. They weren't doing anything harmful, and yet somebody decided to play God and use his card to kill and hurt other people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, how, it leaves you with a question of how can you can't fix it. It'll take generations and generations to fix it, but how can you start? Where do you start? Who do you go to? What's the real issue here?
Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen until we have a presidential change. I'm not saying I'm for that. I'm just saying people like to...
But, I even told you that it's...
use him as an excuse.
Right, but there were those racist people back when Obama was president. And if anything, I feel like once he became president, he might have pissed off more people because he was an African-American president. Trump just escalated everything. It's already been sitting here. I bet you if we go into a restaurant, there is going to be at least one or two people in that restaurant who think a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just... you want to find a logical response because you don't want to take away these people's right to think how they want to, but you also want them to stop and make sure that what they're doing isn't hurting people. Honestly, I don't even know how to leave this because it's just like, I am all for the police. I'm saying it like I'm all for the police when they are in the right, just like I'm all for any politician or my mother even when they are in the right. But once you are in the wrong, I think you need to acknowledge that yourself, and you need someone else to tell you, yo ass is in the wrong. What you did was fucked up, and you need to go make it right.
Nobody wants to be wrong, though.
Of course not. I don't want to be wrong when we're arguing. But I'm woman enough and smart enough to shut up and listen to you if I'm wrong.
Not everybody's like that.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. There has to be a way to start teaching this.
Well, like you said, it's not anytime soon because, fortunately, those people that think that way are having children.
Because, I'm just...
And those people are, of course, going to teach them what they think.
And, it makes me happy that I'm multiracial. It makes me happy that I have you. And the idea that our kids are going to be multiracial. Because at least I know with the rest of my family, because even the rest of the kids, when they have kids, at least I know my family is going to be one of hopefully hundreds and millions who have open-mindedness. And the generation after that, and the generation after that. Whether it has to start with us and how we bring up our kids and how we hope our kids bring up their kids, so be it. But it has to start somewhere.
Well, that was the deepest conversation you'll ever hear us. Well, maybe not. But it raises good questions.
It does. And I hope those of you that are listening, think about it. If you don't like certain people, ask yourself why. What have they ever done to you? Is it all of them? Or is it just one specific person? How can you approach issues that arise similar to the one differently? Just go about your day however you choose to. but there's no need to be mean. You know, think about how other people feel. Maybe go to the library and look up African American history and Latin American history and those of other people besides yourself, and just educate yourself as much as you can to, if not completely understand, then at least sympathize with them and be like, you know what, guys, you're right, this is wrong. Or what you guys are doing is wrong. You're going about it the wrong way. Here's how you could do better.
Well, thank you for listening, everybody. Would you like to outro?
All right, thanks for listening to today's podcast. We were supposed to talk about more things, but we got carried away, and it's okay. Please follow us on all forms of social media. Check out that website because I worked so hard on it, and it's actually coming along really well. And it would be a little boost of confidence if I could see some people on there, you know, get some more content out there. Please.
2.network.com.
Yeah, please think about today's episode and your personal viewpoints. Feel free to comment and share whatever stories you have, but try and stay positive. And I'm not telling you to be so nice, but just be kind to other people, please. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.